Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Minecraft. I am Benix, and I'm excited to show you today some of the progress that I've made building out Redstone for Among Us for InTreeVerts Season 4. It's going to be pretty exciting. So last time I was here, I walked y'all through some of the basics of things I was going to be building, like, okay, so the indicator lights of when tasks are getting completed. Talked a little bit about how I'm going to use dispensers or droppers, or not dispensers to shoot leather, colorful leather armor to be able to be like all the little Among Us characters. Talked a little bit about some of the tasks we could probably do, but today I'm excited to show you some of the progress that I made on how we were actually going to track task completion. All right, so I'm pretty excited to show you this. If you're not really into Redstone, I totally understand. It's definitely something you kind of learn as you go. It's not for everyone. I'm actually a developer by trade, so this is kind of what I love to do. It's definitely not full development, but it's still pretty exciting. So let's go and jump in. Let's show you what I've been thinking. Okay, so if we go over here, here's an example of one of the tasks that will be completed. Okay. The idea is that in Among Us, they'll be coming through. Someone will have the task to fill up their composter. And when they fill it up, it's going to give off a redstone signal. And as you fill it up, the redstone signal increases. And so as it increases, it's going to get to a point where it's going to activate a dropper that's going to have an item inside of it that will then be picked up by a comparator saying that there's an item inside there. And then it is going to push that redstone signal through a repeater at redstone level 6 or 15, and it's going to be pushed all the way through till it gets to this section here, where it is going to be picked up and turn off one of these redstone torches. So if I break all three of these, for an example, I'll come back to this in a second. If I break all three of those, these redstone torches are active, and as long as those are active, it's kind of like a lock and key. Okay, so with this lock and key, this doesn't turn off until all three of these redstone torches are turned off. So if they complete this task right here, it turns off this redstone torch. If I come over here, turns off this redstone torch, but you see, no matter which task is completed, all three of them still have to be completed in order for all three to be turned off. So it's like a lock and key. So if you think about it, if you're doing Among Us, if there's multiple of the same task, what I'm going to probably do is have them go across the whole entire map. And in order to complete the quote unquote composter task, they're going to have to go and do this 3 different times across the map. Then when all 3 of those are completed, boom, it will then give off a redstone signal. So I want you to watch this. So I'm going to break this. Okay. You see how once that turned off, it was picked up by the observer. An observer will look for any kind of change. And when it sees that change, it then gives off that redstone signal and will then push it through the system that I'll show here in just a second. If I turn it off, boom, it activates that redstone signal. So what's happening over here? All right. This, I can go into the details about what's happening here, but I cannot take the credit for building this myself. I actually saw this on a video that Mumbo Jumbo built. It's kind of a one-way hopper clock. So if you are familiar with hopper clocks, it can go, hopper clocks are for giving off a redstone signal over and over again in a certain frequency. This is a one-way hopper clock. So as soon as it receives a redstone signal, so it's going to come over here, it receives the redstone signal, and that redstone signal is going to turn off this redstone torch for just a moment, which will then, it basically creates a loop where it turns off one side for just a moment, pushes off a redstone signal through, and then it is going to move all the items from one hopper back into the other. And then once that's complete, it will then lock it again. I'll go into more details later, but the idea being is that I want it to push a signal through, and what it's going to do is this. Right here, do I not have anything in there? Let's see. Should have pushed it through. I might have to increase this tick. Let me see if that fixes it. Oop. All right, let's see if that fixed it. It might not have. We'll see. Oh, it's unlocked. Oh, that's why. Okay, sorry. Whoops. I jumped the gun here. I'm going to show you this. Okay, well, I guess I can jump over here and see why it wasn't working. Okay. My goal with Among Us in InTreeVerts Season 4 is I want this to be very similar to Decked Out. I want this to be able to be reset, where the whole entire game is reset, just like in Real Among Us, where I can flick a single switch and it will reset all of the tasks. It will reset the indicator lights. It'll reset all the details. So it's going to be a pretty big job. So what this is this kind of my like pseudo reset button. All right. So now that that is turned on, what that is doing is it is locking this hopper right here. This hopper is receiving items, which will then be pushed up and this is kind of like a reset system. Okay. So don't really worry about that too much, but basically it just means that it cannot receive items into that hopper because it's locked. Okay. Because it's receiving redstone signal. Now this one right here is what's important. Okay. So let's just say that they go over here and they finally complete this task. 1, 2, 3. They complete it. Boom. It sends off a redstone signal. And you'll notice it's going to fill up. It should fill up with 23, the way that I have this set up. If it sets up with a little less, I got to reset the clock. I got to reset the clock. Oh, wait, no, actually, I think it's because this one didn't have anything. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, now that that's set, it should be good. Okay, let's try this one more time. I think that was set like that. Let's try it one more time. Okay, now this should fill up with 23. Perfect. Okay, so it locked. All right, so why did I set it up like that? Okay, the reason why I put a certain number of items inside of this hopper clock, which I think is 12. So that exactly when the 12 items are done and it sends off the redstone signal, it will lock this hopper at 23 exactly, or 23 items. What that does is that it will be picked up by the comparator, which then gives off a redstone signal and turns on this piston, which then gives off a redstone signal to light up a single lamp. So this shows that one task has been completed. Okay. So I think you're getting the idea. Let's just say that this was a different task, completely different task, okay? It gets completed. Boom, it sends off another redstone signal. Now it's filling up with exactly 23 more. So this should get to 46. Boom, it locked. Now there's 2 tasks completed. Pretty cool, huh? So now you see that over and over again, it's going to do that. Now over here, I made a more compact version of that same thing. So I wanted to try something a little different. One of my fears is that, okay, if you have a bunch of tasks, whoops, I'm still getting used to my camera. I am actually self-teaching myself how to do some of these things. So just bear with me. All right. If inside Among Us, if there's multiple tasks that are being completed, if 2 tasks are completed at the exact same time, my fear is that this is going to receive a redstone signal and start dropping the 23. And then in a very short amount of time, it receives another signal. It's going to mess up that count. So what I'm worried about is that if it does that, it's going to screw up the actual count of how many tasks have been completed. So to fix this, I decided to do a little bit of a different design. Same concept, a little different design. I made it much more compact. And what I'm thinking right now is that when a task is completed, it gives off that signal, just like it did before. But this time, I'm going to do it for every single task. Okay? So here's task 1. Okay? Here's task 2. And so every single task will have its very own system. So instead of it being like this, where I thought the idea being everything in the entire game would be kind of connected to a single one that's connected to the main task system, I instead want it to each individual one to have its own system. So every single one is going to drop their own items in here independently throughout the entire game, and then it will be picked up by the redstone to be completed. So here's an example of how this works. Let me make sure I have enough items in here. That should be enough items. That should be enough items. Let's see, I think I need to have a redstone dust in here. And I think that should do it. And then I need to take these items out so that it doesn't mess with the system. And I think that should do it. Okay, so if task 1, like the composter, is completed, boom. Oh, it gives off a redstone signal. It should now be dropping items through this hopper system over to here, and it should stop at 23 or near 23. Boom, 23, exactly. That's what I want it to be. Gives off the redstone signal for 23, which is exactly what we need for this comparator signal to give off 1. Okay? Then task number 2 gets completed, which will be over here somewhere. So like, for instance, this one could have up to 4 different items, or 4 different like separate tasks across the entire game. When this one gets completed, it gives off a redstone signal. And that one's going to drop another 23 in there. So that should get to 46. Boom, perfect. So now it gives off the second task. So now you see this solves my concern of multiple tasks getting completed at the exact same time. It won't matter because everything's getting fed into a single hopper, or everything's being fed into a hopper system, which then goes through and does that. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm feeling really good about this approach. This is really good. So it's really cool. I enjoy doing it and then seeing if it works. Okay, so then what's next? The next thing that I was working on that I may or may not build in this episode is I want to have this reset system where it will, then when I solve one problem, a new problem appears, right? So the problem that was now generated was when I decide to reset this task, I need all of these items, whatever they are, to be redistributed across every chest where those items are being collected. And I want it to be evenly distributed. So I think I'm going to use like a water elevator system and just have it flowing across, because I don't think it'll pick up all the items at the exact same time. I could probably put some sort of maybe lock mechanism. I don't really know exactly how I want to do this. Basically, it needs to be able to evenly distribute across all of them. So maybe you all have an idea. If you have an idea of how this could work, comment down below in the comment section. I would love to see that. So I'm learning just along with y'all. So if you have an idea where it could evenly distribute across all of these, imagine this being multiplied by 10, right? So there are not 10, maybe there'll be like 10 tasks total, or maybe there'll be 12 tasks. I don't know exactly just yet. But the idea is I want that item to be evenly distributed when it's time to reset. So if you have an idea, comment below, and I'd love to see that. But yeah, this is the idea of kind of where I'm at. I feel really good about this system. Even if I don't have the reset system figured out, this is really, really good. So some of my next tasks that I have to do is now I need to come up with actual detailed tasks for each of these, right? So like what exactly is going to happen for each of these? One of the ones I'm really excited about is the parkour. I think that one's going to be really fun to do. But yeah, hey y'all, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to make this kind of a shorter video because tomorrow, actually not tomorrow, Saturday is InTreeVerts Season 4. InTreeVerts Season 4 begins on Saturday. I'm super excited. This is an adult-only SMP server. It is both Bedrock and Java, so I'm going to be playing in Java, but it's compatible with both. Super fun. If you guys are interested, I believe it's going to be posted inside of the official Minecraft server list, so you guys can look it up and potentially join if you want to. But super awesome people, super fun. It's mostly vanilla. It's really enjoyable, but I'm super excited about building this in there and capturing all the fun we're going to be doing there. So anyway, hey, I'm Venix. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.